This week on the I Love Funny Women podcast.
I'm just feeling that international woman of mystery energy so hard right now. And so it's funny that he hosted that and now we're dating. When you try to make it look like you have everything together, the problem with that is people think you have everything together.
Welcome to the I Love Funny Women podcast with your host, Dina Nina.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's I Love Funny Women podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dina Nina.
And I think I'm the other one. Are there more hosts? I don't know. I'm Lalita Dee.
Hey, Lalita.
Hey, Tina.
You're back in the U.S.
I am. I'm so jet lagged.
But your internet connection is great.
Ooh, burn on Europe. Ooh.
No, it's just further. So the ability to have issues is extended by, thousands of miles.
The internet doesn't originate in the United States. Well,
Shut
I guess
up.
it does, but whatever. Yeah, all right. Moving on. Europe, where not only they do not have COVID under control, they also have really crappy Wi-Fi.
I mean, because the U.S. has COVID so under control.
So under control. You know what? It's nice to be back in the Bay Area where people wear their masks.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. So I wore my mask for the first time again today because I keep hearing about this Delta variant and I'm getting a little freaked out again. Also, my entire business depends on meetings. So what is going to happen again?
I know. Wear your mask, people.
Yes, please wear your mask. And if you are not wearing a mask, then get fucking vaccinated.
Seriously. Yeah. But that's the thing. The people that aren't wearing masks on principle are also the people that are not getting vaccinated on principle. So here we all are, vaccinated and wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being on the pill and wearing a condom, which, by the way, is a good idea.
Whether you have a uterus or not. It's...
Get yourself on the pill.
If you're a lesbian, use a dental dam. COVID spreads through vaginal and oral contact. I'm just kidding. It doesn't. That's not...
I'm not using a dental dam.
That is not necessarily true. Misinformation with Dina Nina.
Cunnilingus will give you COVID.
Dental dams all over the world are like, thank you so much.
Finally, we're of use again. The cunnilingus strain of COVID originated in San Francisco.
Are you sure it didn't originate in Portland?
Lesbos.
Lesbos. Let's just blame it on Belgium.
Oh. Poor Belgium.
And like always, we would love to hear from you. Come on, somebody, please. Post a video on Instagram and tag at I Love Funny Women with the hashtag Hey Dina, and you could be on the podcast or even on our YouTube.
Who would not want to be on this podcast with us?
Agreed. Agreed.
Now, listen out there, whether you're loving this podcast or just minimally fond of it or just listening and wondering what's happening, nevertheless, we'd appreciate it if you share it with your friends.
Because sharing is super.
That doesn't rhyme even. What's that?
It doesn't. I just thought it was fun.
Hey, this is Door Girl Greg. Thank you for listening to the I Love Funny Women podcast. If you haven't by now, you should really go to the socials and check out at I Love Funny Women on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube, because really, what else are you going to do?
This week in the news,
Boris Johnson's wife, Carrie, is pregnant with her second child. Dina, do you think it's his?
I don't know. I hope not. Just the thought of him and that was...
Who could possibly want to have sex with that man? It's EU. It's so EU. It's like EU.
Ah.
I know. Also, their first kid is called Wilfred, which is child abuse right there.
Agreed, 1,000%. I'm sorry for any Wilfred that's listening. We love you, and your choices and your parents' choices were valid.
And also, no shade on Carrie if it isn't his. In fact, free Carrie, and good for you, girl. Go get it.
And also, we would prefer that.
Exactly.
It would give us something else to visualize other than...
As long as it's not Priti Patel's. We don't want that either.
Or Piers Morgan's.
Oh my God.
Congress goes on recess just in time for the eviction moratorium to lapse, which potentially puts millions of families out of their homes. Representative Cori Bush, goddess, put congressional Democrats on blast, saying that they could have extended the moratorium before they went on vacation. So instead of having a heart, our lawmakers are having a holiday in Bali.
I guess when you're a lawmaker, life's a beach.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what happens on the beach though? You get sand in your crevices.
Oh yes, I hope they get a lot of and those little ants that bite. They deserve those in their crevices too. God. Now, Billie Eilish has said in an interview with The Guardian that always trying to look good is a loss of joy and freedom. I second that wholeheartedly. For me, looking like shit sparks joy.
Amen. Yes. Not having to remove eyeliner and waterproof mascara sparks joy.
Now, speaking of the rich and famous, Dina, we have to talk about Bennifer.
Bennifer.
Oh my God, what rock have you been under? Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck?
How is that a thing again?
Oh my God. So she, I think she left A-Rod because he was having it on with a stripper or something like that. Don't sue me. I don't know the details, but he was doing something gross. And so she dumped him. That's how I like to read it. And then she got back with Ben Affleck. What's he ever done?
The movie Forces of Nature.
What else?
I remembered 3 of them, and now I can't remember any of them except Forces of Nature. Also, once you make a mistake and move on, you think you would learn from that.
I mean, honestly, I want people to write in and let us know if they want to get back with their ex from 20 years ago. Like, just the thought of it.
I mean, fair. And, I mean, what is Ben gonna say? No, I don't want that ass. I want that ass. Oh, God, that's creepy.
J-Lo's hot. I would, yeah. Anyway, A-Rod's an idiot. Okay. Don't sue us. We don't know what we're saying.
I'm sure he's very lovely.
I thought they were really nice.
And spreads his love around.
Right. They had a lovely whole Instagram thing going on with their kids and all that. I thought A-Rod and J-Lo, they were like the OG. And now she's back with Ben Affleck. I don't know. I'm not happy about it. I like to have opinions about other people's love lives.
I mean, I normally do too, but somehow I am in the dark on this one.
I just don't know how that's even possible. Hey, do you know that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie broke up?
Yes.
Just making sure.
Because I had my eye on one of those children. I want to snag one.
Okay, now you're being creepy again.
I am. It's true.
What else is going on in the news, Dina?
I don't know. I heard there was something happening with balls and swimming and things.
Are you referring to the Olympics?
Is that the thing that Simone Biles was doing? But then she realized she'd actually rather care for herself than pretend to be okay?
Dang, Dina. Yes, queen. She's a rock star, and I love that all these people that, get out of breath when they walk to their car.
Me.
They're like,
I feel called out.
Okay, but you weren't being mean about Simone Biles. People are so misogynist, so racist, so ableist. I mean, the whole thing is just gross. I mean, the woman is unbelievable. She's a sexual abuse survivor, and she just needs a little time out. And also, she didn't want to mess it up for her team. Like, what more of a team player can you be than to say, this might not work out. I'm going to sit this one out. And then people are giving her a really hard time about it. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
Speaking of teams, the Dutch women's soccer team lost to the United States women's soccer team on penalties. It was 2-2 after extra time, and then they went to penalties, and Megan Rapinoe scored the winning goal.
I know 2 of the words that you just said. Megan Rapinoe.
Well, the United States won and Holland lost.
I was so worried about you on that one. I was like, are you okay? Holland lost. And then I heard Megan Rapinoe, and I'm like, now I don't know where you're going to land on this issue.
Yeah, you got me right there. I mean, the Dutch part of me was a little bit upset, but wow, I will always be on Team Rapinoe, if you know what I'm saying. Go Megan.
You're so cryptic. I'm not sure if I know what you're saying. Go Megan.
I love my lesbians, is what I'm saying. I love my lesbians.
And that is all the time we have for the news today.
I want to do more news. So fun.
It was fun.
Hey, all you funny women. It's Door Girl Greg, and I'm here to say thank you for listening to the I Love Funny Women podcast. Dina, I don't have glitter in my asshole. Only in my pockets.
This week, I actually had somebody come into the studio and sit down and talk to me across from me with microphones on. It was so cool.
Wow, what a throwback experience that must have been.
It felt very pre-2020,
All right.
And it was so great because she is a lovely human being. She's a comedian who moved back to the Midwest for a time period, who knows how long that's going to be. Her comedy special is available on Apple Plus as well as Amazon. And she filmed her comedy special on the day that she was supposed to get married.
Oh.
And she's also an entrepreneur who just started a company called MyBreakupRegistry.com.
Oh, I like that. You can register when you have a breakup so you can get like a teapot.
Yes, especially if that bitch took that tea kettle.
Right. Ooh, I like it.
Please welcome to the show, Natasha Pearl Hansen. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me in your lovely studio.
I'm so excited to have somebody in person, like physically in the studio with me again. It's so nice. And to see you across the table.
I know. It's rare that I was just telling you that, but I have a podcast as well, and I have been doing it a lot over Zoom or with Jake since quarantine because he can do sound really well, and I'm just like, maybe you just should co-host this with me from now on because we just do it in our pajamas at home. It's so nice. But
I'm so jealous.
I've become so lazy now with stuff.
Yeah. So you moved from Los Angeles back to Wisconsin.
Yes.
You got in this relationship with Jake.
Yeah, it was a total unplanned thing, but timing is pretty fascinating. So I have been in LA for 10 years, and 80% of my things are still in LA, just chilling in storage. I split with my ex-fiance in January of 2020, and we had lived together for 8 years, been together for 9. And so I forwent all my things. Like, I kept my clothes in a couple end tables, but like the furniture was all stuff he wanted. Like, I just let him have it. I walked away with no assets, no car. He had everything. So I put my things in storage. It was funny too, because at the time I was doing really well. I had my Vegas show. I had just a bunch of shit going on. I had a bi-coastal show. I was everywhere. And part of me just wanted to go and get like this sick pad and, you know, just pimp out like as a single lady in LA for the first time. And something in my gut was like, don't do that. Don't do that. And so I just put shit in storage, stayed with a friend, and lo and behold, March rolls around and everything shuts down. So it was like the most beautiful serendipitous moment because I went home to my family's in Wisconsin, healed from the breakup because that was really tough.
Yeah.
And, or began the process of healing, I should say. And just like left my belongings behind and was there with a suitcase. I was in the middle of a tour in New York when everything shut down. And so went back to LA last June for like 5 months And then I just planned to come back to Wisconsin for the holidays. All my things were still in storage, so I was like free as a bird. Went to Colorado for a little bit, came back here, and then started dating Jake. And then, you know, I think he thought he shouldn't get too serious because he didn't know if I was going to be around. And, you know, a couple weeks in, I was like, I'm gonna stick around. Like, there's no point in me going back to LA right now. Everything's catastrophized there. So I stayed.
Yeah, things were intense there too.
Yeah, things were really intense.
So for those of you who don't know, Jake Snell is a Madison local comedian.
Yeah.
He is one of the creators and runs Madison Comedy Week here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
just a
starts this
really
week.
great, beautiful guy.
He is, yes.
He's too cute. Like,
he's
it's
so
so
good.
weird. It's so weird looking. He's like LA cute,
I know.
but with a weird mustache from
I think he's better.
like the Northwoods.
I've seen so many different types of people. I've met so many people, period. And granted, when I was meeting a lot of people, I was in a relationship, so I wasn't viewing them that way. But not a lot of people impress me. Yeah. Even, you know, with their status, power, money, whatever. I've met the whole gamut. And I don't really care.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to be taken aback by somebody so quickly. I really hadn't experienced that. You know, we were saying some very, very beautiful things to each other really early, and you know, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So on tour, running this thing, on paper, it looks like you should be on a coast. And I feel that too, because like when I was not doing well when I left LA, but like I had been doing things and like people knew me, and you know, I wasn't like super famous or anything, but I was West Hollywood famous.
Oh, totally.
You know, which was great. And then I got here and I didn't know what to expect because translating, moving to the middle of the country, comedian, and everybody's like, don't stop doing comedy. You're going to stop doing comedy. And I was like, clearly I didn't.
Yeah.
So what, thinking about coming back, because I would never go back home to Texas. You came back home.
Yeah, it's been a weird thing to make myself feel okay about. At least I had to do a little bit of ego checking, I would say, as the world started to open back up this year, because I worked my ass off for 10 years in LA. I do have a name for myself. I'm not the hugest star, same kind of thing. But I was auditioning a ton, you know, casting directors really like me. But here's the thing. I have set myself up to be capable of doing the shit I do from anywhere. I've always wanted to work that way. And timing wise, it worked out really nice because my special just came out in April. So that opens up doors for me all over. Yeah. It doesn't really matter where I'm based because I can hop on a plane and get anywhere. And so my team is considering me everywhere. And so they're pushing me for things on both coasts and in Chicago. And I have places in Chicago and LA that I like call home away. So I'm not in a bad spot. And me and Jake, we haven't made a plan for September yet. Our original plan was just to go to LA then. But when this is something that him and I just talked about like in depth the other day on one of our like, you know, just chill and hang chats. But when you move to a city like Los Angeles, there is no playbook or manual that teaches you how to operate properly, right?
At all.
There's nobody looking out for you. There's fuck all. You know.
and most of the time don't trust any of the advice anyone gives you
people
when
give
you
you
get
terrible
there.
advice. And so for me, something that I've learned over the pandemic, especially after going through my long breakup and having to understand how that feels to divide assets and like lose half of your income and all that type of stuff, I looked back on the rent that I've spent in 10 years of LA. I mean, we're talking $250,000 to $300,000 in rent to own zero property.
Yeah.
So when I return back to LA, Or if I sell a show and it's based in Chicago, great, I'll go there. Like, I'm totally flexible right now. But I want to be in a position to fucking buy my dream situation. And I don't want to go back to the blowing money that a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. Something I've been kind of telling myself, and this is going to sound funny, but I think it'll come out right. We'll see. Like, I'm looking at LA like it's a cool party, right? But if you're a cool person, you don't need to be at the cool party, because the people that are other cool people will just find you. They'll come to you. They'll come to your party. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. Like, I'm like, I don't really care if I'm there. I love what I'm up to. And the people that are supposed to be in my circle will stay in it or will come find me if I need new ones. And so I'm just feeling that international woman of mystery energy so hard right now.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So, but I also launched my startup recently, and so.
Oh yeah, tell us about that, because it's so fascinating. I love this idea.
You're gonna die about what I'm doing too.
How amazing!
Me and Jake just made a decision today for something. So my comedy special that came out in April was shot on my canceled wedding day, which is actually how me and Jake got to be close. He hosted it. It was shot here in Madison in 2019, and somebody suggested, I feel like it might have been Nick Hart or somebody that I reached out to, and they were like, you should have Jake Snell host this thing. And him and I had only crossed paths maybe once before, like briefly. So I was still with my ex, and he was with his ex. He brought her actually to my taping, which is funny. And so it's funny that he hosted that, and now we're dating, because
that's so weird.
Just a cute, weird story. But
something to tell your kids.
I know, right? For real. But my special was shot on my canceled wedding day, so I took that as a business opportunity to turn this deal that I had with a space that wasn't going to give me my money back into. Jake had suggested I renegotiate the contract since it wasn't going to be a wedding anymore, which I hadn't thought to do, which is weird because I'm usually a negotiating queen. And I did. And they came way down and did like a deal with me based on how much I sold, like how much people bought at the venue. So it was way less than I expected. And then I sold it out. And so I made exactly to the dollar in my PayPal through my ticket sales what it cost me to film, to the dollar, like a difference of some change. It was crazy. And
that's amazing.
I know. Like, it's just how some things are aligning has been pretty wild. But so in 2020, when me and my ex split, I was sitting up at night and like fucking around on our wedding registry, and I was like, I'm just going to change this to Natasha's marrying Natasha and send it out to all my wedding guests anyway, because now I need all that stuff. Like, I need a couch, and I need a car, and I needed this. And I was like, this would be really funny. And then I was like, I wonder if there is anything like this for breakups. And I did research for a couple months and couldn't find it. So last summer, while I was in quarantine in LA, I built my breakupregistry.com, which is a crowdfunding and item registry platform for people going through breakups. And I spent all of my savings making it happen. Like, building an intricate website like that is really expensive. So it was like $40,000-$50,000 building this site over the course of 7 months. Yeah. And then so
such a brilliant idea.
So what I was going to do during Madison Comedy Week, because I actually am a sponsor of Madison Comedy Week, my company is. My company is just me. It's just me. It's been so much work. Instead of doing a crowdfunding campaign to help myself scale, I created my own breakup registry within my platform. And so on my flyers, people can donate to my registry, and it goes back into my own business.
Oh, that's so
good.
Isn't
that cool? We thought about that today, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So yeah, I'm working on just getting a little bit more going with that. I have some cool opportunities coming up on the table, but I'm trying to be really smart about it and build it right. So Yeah. But it's cool. I'm excited about it.
That's like, I just think it's such a brilliant idea. Like, why hasn't that happened before?
I know.
That's so good that you got in on it.
I know.
I'm jealous.
Well, and that's why I was like, I have to strike while the idea is hot. Have you ever read Big Magic?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I love that book. Big Magic, summarized, is like the thought that when an idea comes to you or a concept, it's alive and it's like coming to you so you can manifest it and make it real. And if you choose to not do that, it will go find a new host. So you can't be upset as a creative or as an entrepreneur or as whatever if somebody else brings your idea to life and you're like, oh, I was thinking of that, or I should have done that, or that was my idea. Or it's the concept that two people can have matching ideas. And sometimes that's actually brilliant. And if you do find that's the case, you should sync up with that person because clearly there's some way to collaborate there because you're on the same train. The stories in that book are really cool. But so that was my first thought when this came to me is I was like, if I don't make this, I'll be really pissed when I see it made. So
yeah, and I feel that I have ideas all the time, and like I have to mind fuck them until I either love it and follow it through or it's done. Yeah, like because my Aries moon makes me so like I'm gonna obsess about it until it's done. So I think that's great, and every entrepreneur, podcast that I listen to is always launch before you're ready. And it sounds like you were in there. You were in that. You're like, I'm going to launch before it's ready, but still.
Yeah. And that's, that was the big thing that I pushed myself to do. I wanted to launch. Hi, buddy. Your dog. So cute.
I love her.
I was really scared to launch because the last little bit that I had to put towards the development of the platform was the last little bit I had in my savings, and I was, luckily, Jake was super supportive. I had been either living in my parents' basement or in a house in LA that was gifted to me by miraculous godsend divine intervention. That whole story is crazy itself. So it was a big sacrifice in a lot of ways, and it really checked my ego. Not that I was walking around with like some inflated ego or anything, but everybody has a sense of that when you've built a career and worked your ass off. And I just had to tell myself, fuck it, fuck what anybody thinks. You're killing it. Like, you go live your life in your parents' basement. Right. You go do. And Jake was so supportive. He was like, spend the money. Like, we're gonna figure everything out. And
that's so good.
Ooh, it got tough for a minute, but we've recovered. And so, but yeah.
I mean, it always gets tough for a minute.
When it comes to money and investing in yourself, oh yeah. And I've definitely done this so many times in my career.
Yeah.
So you just have to.
I think I like with you, I have those moments and I'm always like, the last time it was far worse. You know what I mean? Like, or
the struggle was
it's
way
been
worse.
Like,
yeah.
So even though I'm having a really hard time financially, maybe something's just not working, you're always like, I've been through it worse, and I know that my brand is solid enough to weather this and recover. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, it's something me and Jake talk about a lot, but that scarcity mentality has fallen away a lot. It comes back. It comes tickling at you sometimes.
She creeps in.
Yeah. I hate it. But when you stay in a good abundance mindset, you create opportunities for yourself and other people, or you're always trying to just like put good energy out there like that. Things just fall into place. Like I had something come up for my business, for me and my brand and my business, that was going to be a sizable expense, but a smart move to market and propel this forward. And, you have to reinvest back into your business and yourself when you want to scale. And this really cool opportunity, like, thank God I checked Facebook messages, but somebody reached out to me for a festival to host it in September. And I told them my maximum amount and said it was my minimum.
Isn't that?
And they paid it. They paid it, no question. And I was like, so then I made like double what this project is supposed to cost me. And so like, and I got half up front, which was exactly the amount I needed to do this project. So, I mean, when I think about that, I'm like, okay, things keep coming through. This is your yes from above that you're making the right choices, because the option to make those choices is there. It's presenting itself, you know.
I love that.
Trust your timing, trust your money will keep coming in. And so, yeah.
So one of the things that I keep trying to tell myself, like I'm emotionally and mentally I'm well, but I'm also like have like all this stuff that's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I keep coming back to what's meant for me will come to me. So why do I keep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and that sounds kind of like what's happening.
Yeah.
And also, when you ask for more than you're worth and you get it, how amazing does that feel?
Now, yes. And oh, God. And it changes everything. Like if you're in a little bit of a rut or something, just that little boost of confidence, like, hey, this is my minimum value now.
Right.
So yeah, this is now what I asked for base.
Yeah.
And like that number has slowly creeped up over time, but now it feels really good to be able to say, your project, and this sounds really bad, but I turn down tons of auditions that I get for certain things because I look at what it will get me for my brand to be on their brand, and a year of usage all over the fucking place, all over the universe in perpetuity. And you're only going to pay me $1,500? Like, absolutely no. My brand is worth way more than that. Yeah. And so being able to stand your ground with certain things and being able to say, if you want me to come in on this, I need at least X if you're going to use my face or my likeness or whatever. And it's good to know your value.
Right.
You know?
And it gives you the power to do things for people that you want to do for them when it's lower, when like that's the thing that I think is so great when I come to somebody and I'm like, this is my value, and then somebody is like that's really not out of my price range, but I'm like, I really want to work with you. So because I got this, I can kind of be cool on this.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can't always get your maximum number or ideal number or whatever that is, but it does give you at least a good stance of like how to manage your time and energy better, what to not waste time on doing. I did so much spinning my wheels before the pandemic, you know, that downtime really made me sit and think like, hey, how much time and energy do you want to be putting into these acquaintances that you have? Like, who really matters to keep around in your circle? And I think about the same thing with work. What is worth the time? What is worth putting effort into? And if it is, I will put all of it in.
Yeah.
But
what I love about this conversation is something that I've really been passionate about trying to instill in people that are starting, is that when you go into the entertainment business, you are an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
You're a solopreneur, and your team
and you're a salesperson.
Work for you. You're a salesperson. You're
marketing.
You're everything.
Branding.
And as a solopreneur,
negotiator.
on top of being a solopreneur as a creative, like it's just like there's so many things there. And so you have to come at it strategically. Yeah,
you do. And you have to you have to be realistic for a long time until you've gained enough traction where you can be unrealistic. I like having realistic and unrealistic in two lanes, which is kind of a fun way to think about it. Like, what are these unrealistic things that I think would be like ridiculous if I achieved them? And I've accomplished a ton of those. So as my realistic things start to exceed, like go up, so do my unrealistic. I'm never catching up to my unrealistic expectations because they are realistic, because I keep catching them eventually, and then I just keep setting more ahead. I don't know if that makes sense verbally, but you see it with my hand.
what I feel like you're saying to me is set goals out of your reach.
Yeah. And eventually you'll reach them, but you'll already have set more goals
and then
out of
set
your reach.
Crazy big goals, but set goals that are out of your reach, because when you achieve that goal, it makes you so much more confident to go to the bigger goals that you're like, I'll never get there. Ooh, I just might get there.
Yeah.
I also think sometimes having big goals and knowing that they're achievable and fighting after them is just like so maddening sometimes, though.
Dude, well, you know what is pretty, what's pretty interesting? And this is going to be very freeing to maybe some people that are holding all this shit in. When you try to make it look like you have everything together, the problem with that is people think you have everything together, and they don't think that you need help or need anything for that matter.
I think that's why I'm so raw, and like with you, like for some reason when I met you, I felt like I could just say
Tell me
shit
stuff.
to you.
I know.
And I'm like, everybody thinks I have my shit together, and I don't.
No, it was so cool. It was such a good bonding moment, like initially, because I love that about people. And I've had that happen with some huge actors that I know and comedians, where I run into them on the street outside of like CAA or some big ass building. Well, one girl, she's killing it now, but she told me, and I don't know what it is about me that people will do this. She stopped me on the steps and was like telling me her financial situation, and was like, you don't understand. I'm not making anything. It looks like I'm making X. I'm verified on social media, and I'm so poor. And I was like, tell people that. And she started being more open about that, and guess what it manifested for her? It manifested opportunity.
I love that. And that's kind of like what I'm feeling like I'm doing lately.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most fucked up things about being in the entertainment industry. I got on the cover of a magazine, and I was like, I should be really happy about this right now. Like, it's my first cover. I should be really happy about this. I've worked for this. And I was like, what does this mean to me?
Yeah.
Like, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling like, okay, I get it. I get it. It just took me a moment to catch up. But like, there are times when we get something that anybody else would be like, oh my God. And you're like, I don't know what it means. Why is it even a thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's, and that's a thing that I've talked to a lot of people about. As you start to progress, you get more notoriety, and people do wonder what it means. I have a good friend who is filming on a major TV show in Atlanta. And it's in its final season, and he has a place in Los Angeles that he doesn't get to be at most of the time because he's filming and living in this small place in Atlanta on purpose, because he's like, I already have a house. Like, I don't need a big place to film. They put me in clothes and then I go to set. So he's really smart about it. And he said all he wants to do is just be done with this season. It's a huge show. He's making buku money. All he wants to do is create a voiceover studio in his house and just be home.
Yeah.
There's certain things you have goals and dreams, and then sometimes they come true and it's not all that you had hoped for, and you don't feel fully fulfilled by it. So that's a big reason why I've just remained super open lately and continue to try, because the more you put pressure on yourself to do one thing, you might miss the door that's like beaming open behind you, Yeah. And so
it's so it's really nice to be able to talk to somebody that's in person about these things, because coming from LA and being away, I mean, I moved here and I was like, am I going to ever have a career? And I'm so like proud of what I've accomplished. But there's also like those moments that there is something so specific about being an entertainer in LA and then not being in LA. But you're still, like, my mindset is still, like, I still have the same mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working for my career, whether I'm physically in LA or not.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing I'm doing right now. I mean, the plan is to be back out there, but I just want to do it better. I just, I'm not going to.
And I don't think I ever want to live there again. But I want to work there, if that makes sense. Like, I loved it, but there's something about being in the Midwest that feels more grounding for me.
I don't disagree. And,
I'd love to have an apartment there, like a small apartment, and then, like, live in the Chicago suburbs or something, you know, but
totally. Like I'm definitely more of like a high-rise loft kind of living person, and I love Chicago. That's where I started my career, and I would totally live there again. Pretty much every show I've written and pitched takes place in Chicago because I'm like, give me a reason to go back. Give me a reason.
Same.
Yeah. And
I can film here.
You know, the funny thing about LA, for like the last 6 years that I was there full time, where I was heavily touring, and a lot of that touring I was producing myself for the longest time. I still do that a lot too. I was making the most of my money to enjoy my life in LA outside of LA. I was my tours in the Midwest or other coasts were more lucrative. When I'd come to Chicago, it was more lucrative. Shows in LA don't pay as much. There's a lot of demand and not enough.
They pay.
Rarely, honestly.
Right. No, I
rarely.
know. Like and that's one of the things I tell most of my comics that come out of the school. I'm like, don't expect to get paid.
No,
but when you get paid, awesome.
In scenes like this, and this is no disrespect to anybody in the Madison comedy scene, but y'all don't know what you got. They don't know, because you're getting paid to do shows. And like, I watch Jake hustle his ass off to make spots that are paid for people. And like, he produced a show that I was on, and we pay everybody like $50 or $100. Everyone leaves happy. The venue's happy. We make some money and sell out the thing. And that doesn't happen in Los Angeles. Like the best pay you get on a show, if it's a club, the spots are like $100, $200 maybe on a really good day. Usually they're more like 60. And this is me airing stuff.
And that's
it's
if
obviously
you're,
much
and
bigger.
That's if you're booked.
Yeah,
like,
it's obviously much bigger if you're like
independent.
Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan or whatever. But
a man.
That can be the case a lot of the times. I hope it's equivalent for like Eliza and Whitney and all that stuff too. But
yeah, like I try to, like, that's one thing about the Midwest that's so good. Like you generally get, even if it's $20, you're getting something.
Yeah.
And we do shows like 2 to 3 a night sometimes, and get like maybe $10 for gas or whatever.
Well, and here, because I have such a support system in Chicago and Wisconsin and like Minneapolis, where I like spent my younger chunk of my creative years, people come out to shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can sell out a venue and make a few $1,000s in a night, and that's not even a problem. And so like, it's a totally different game. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting how my mentality is kind of flipped. And I do look at it like I'm going to be such a hot ticket item with like my business and stuff that like wherever city I need to be, they'll just get me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't care where I am at all.
Yeah.
And I hope I get to spend some time in London too, because
word.
But like I miss my friends in LA. That's really what I get lonely for. Not the place necessarily.
I love visiting.
I loved living there, but I mean, I would leave it a week or 2 weeks out of every month.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would burn you out.
Yep.
Pretty quick too.
Yeah.
So.
It's been so fun talking to you.
Are we already done? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so
just a real quick podcast.
This is awesome.
So people can find your special on Amazon, and it's called
Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV, and it's called I Was Supposed to Get Married Today.
Awesome.
By Natasha Pearl Hansen. And
I'll say your name before.
And my website for my startup is mybreakupregistry.com.
I love it.
So they go hand in hand.
Congratulations. That's so rad.
Thank you.
I love that you're here for now.
I am too. And wherever I end up next, that I'll love being there too,
Awesome. Natasha Pearl Hansen. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And that is all the time we have for this week. Thanks again for listening to the I Love Funny Women podcast.
You can find us on all the social media at I Love Funny Women, and we are on YouTube as well.
And this podcast was written by me.
And me.
And you can find me on all the socials at Dina Nina XO.
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Lalita Dee. That's D-E-E, Lalita Dee Comedy.
And find our guest Natasha Pearl Hansen on Instagram at NPH Comedy.
Our door girl Greg is on Instagram at GG Potter.
And we love our announcer Crysta Garner, who can be found on Instagram at Crysta Garner.
This is an Artemis Glow studio production
in association with Crossover Media and AMG. Have a great
week.